Did you know that one of the finest places to see a concert anywhere in the world is right here in Scottsdale, Arizona? My guest today is Andrew Walesch, who's the artistic director of the MIM, the Music Instrument Museum in Scottsdale, Arizona. And it is an incredible collection of instruments from all around the world with an incredible performing venue. And today on the podcast, Andrew shares with me some of the performances that are coming up, how many performances the MIM actually does every single year, and why you want to make sure that you go check it out. Super excited to be here today with Andrew Walesch, who is the artistic director at MIM, which is the Music Instrument Museum. Fantastic facility. Definitely a must-see if you love music. So thanks for being on the podcast today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you are super busy. I got to go with like a really fun question right out of the gate. So this year in 2025, I know you have planned a lot of events and concerts, and I know it's a big number. How many for the year?
We'll probably do about 350 concerts this year at MIM. Last year we did 333, and we're already quite a ways ahead of that this year. So we just keep booking concerts and putting them on sale because people keep coming. So.
Well, that's an insane amount of concerts. And I just have to ask you the question that I was asking the team back at the MIM. I'm like, gosh, why did you give up and miss the last 15 concerts to have one every day? Like, just so funny. I mean, 350 concerts in 1 year, that is a lot.
It is.
So just share with my viewers, what is that made up of? There's the big, beautiful theater, and then you've got some other smaller venues too. So how are you programming all of that?
So actually, all of those 350 concerts are in the music theater.
Oh, they're in that one big theater?
They're all in that one space. It's about a 300-seat theater. As you know, the acoustics are unbelievable.
Incredible.
We have some of the greatest, sound equipment, pianos, backline. Backline is all of the instruments that we have to provide for the artists for the concerts. We're so fortunate at MIM. Everything is made to be what's best for the artist, so that when they take the stage, they can, feel so comfortable and they can put their best show on the best show possible that they can put on. So
yeah, it is a great theater. It's a small theater, so you get to have a really intimate experience in there. It's not giant, and as you were saying, the acoustics are nearly perfect in there, and it's just a really beautiful place. So share for my followers here, how did it all come to be? There's a great investor in town who decided this is something that the world was missing, and so he got the ball rolling to get MIM off the ground, and it's just grown to what it is today.
Right. So we actually just celebrated our 15th anniversary in April. So 15 years ago, Bob Ulrich, our founder, was the CEO of Target for 26 years, and he just got this idea when he was visiting a musical instrument museum in Europe. Why don't we do something like this in the U.S.? And so 4 years to the date when he had the inception of this idea, MIM opened.
Wow.
And initially the theater at MIM was supposed to be more for cultural events, dance type things. It wasn't necessarily going to be a place with a lot of concerts, or certainly not anywhere near the volume of shows that we're doing now. And over time, artists started to realize, oh my gosh, this space is so special. I want to come back. They started telling their friends. Mm-hmm. And suddenly it started to snowball. And about 5 or 6 years into MIM, the concerts went from 50 or 60 a year to 120 to 150 to 200 to 250. And again, so many artists want to play at MIM now that's why we have that amount of shows. And of course, the audiences keep coming as well. But it initially wasn't going to be this theater that had so many national level performers coming through all the time, and that just evolved into that over the years. But very important to remind people, it's also this incredible museum, the world's only global musical instruments museum. So we have exhibits on literally every country in the world at MIM.
Yep, and I want you to walk us through that. So I want to ask one quick question before we get to that. So the acoustics in the theater, as I was saying, near perfect. I know no penny was spared to make sure. So what other venues in the world have acoustics at this level?
Oh boy, I mean, you know, there's a lot of different size venues all across the world, you know, with really great acoustics. I think what makes MIM special is, as you've just spoken to, the size of the hall, being that it's so intimate. It's so everything, every last part of that theater was designed also not just acoustically, but with the guest experience in mind. So we have the widest rows, we have the widest seats you can get. Every single element was about maximizing comfortability and acoustics and quality. So there are great halls in the world that you know that come to mind, but we hear again and again that, and I mean, of course I'm very biased, but
yes.
We hear from really highly regarded artists that it's the premier room of its size in the world, and that feels like hyperbole, and I'm sure there are other rooms of its size that are you know really wonderful, but it truly is unique. We are so fortunate in the Valley to have this jewel of a place, and I just love to be a part of it. It's truly an honor and a joy for me. Yeah,
it is a jewel for sure. So when you go through the museum, I've been through the museum many times. It's a great place to take kids, but it's a great place to also not take kids. Because when you go without the kids, you have more time to absorb what is there. And, you know, at first blush, you'd think, a museum for musical instruments. Like, what's that going to be? It's big. It's big, and you have so many exhibits. So sort of walk us through the instruments. Where are they from? I mean, around the world. Talk us through some of the halls that are there.
Well, literally, we have, as I said, an exhibit on every country in the world. So the first floor at MIM is really awesome, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. Upstairs is where you literally go continent through continent. So I like to start over in Africa, and then come in, you know, you go through the Middle East and Asia and Oceania and Latin America, and then across the hall, the US, Canada, and Europe. Downstairs, or I should say the first floor, we have a special exhibition that changes once every year. So that's extremely unique. This year, and it usually opens it always opens, in November and closes in September. So the exhibition this year is Stradivarius and the Golden Age of Violins and Guitars. It's just masterfully done. It's so, my colleagues just knocked it out of the park. We have the highest attendance in terms of guests that are coming to the museum, that then also it's an upgrade to also see the special exhibition, and it has been one of our most successful special exhibitions ever. People are just going nuts about it. We also on the first floor. Go ahead.
I want to add a little point about that. So one of the things that's interesting is when you go to some science museums and some children's museums around the country, there are exhibits that travel. And so I think one of the things that's really unique about what you're doing there is that whole exhibit was curated by the team at MIM. This is not a prepackaged, prefab kind of exhibit. You created this from scratch and collected these instruments from around the world and collectors.
And constantly we are deaccessioning, items that, you know, perhaps aren't as relevant anymore, replacing them with really important pieces constantly. So the museum is always changing, and as you said, we have 4 full-time curators. Actually, and technically we have 5 people that curate all these different exhibitions, and they each have specialties. They're ethnomusicologists. These are extraordinarily brilliant people, but MIM is very different because of that. First of all, we don't take any of our pieces or any of our galleries and travel and tour them. And that's part of our founding principles. We believe that the magic of MIM happens at MIM, and so we hope and we love that people make that sort of trip and come and really experience the magic of MIM. And the only way to do that is to come to MIM.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other really special exhibition, by the way, is the Artist Gallery. And I'm sure you've been in that, but you can walk through and see Roberta Flack's piano, and you can see George Benson's guitars, and you can see Prince's piano. And I think that's probably my favorite gallery, because it's so cool to really get these intimate connections with individual artists that are so important to the history of music.
Yeah.
But that first floor, you know, and there's a whole lot. I mean, we only have so much time, but I could go on. It's just, it's an amazing place.
So much. So, so when you go to MIM, you have the chance to, you know, do your own tour. You can do a guided tour. But then I feel like there's also classes as well and programs. So how are you managing the kids and the field trips that are coming through?
So we're slowly getting back to the amount of kids, you know, with field trips and other means coming to MIM. We had in 2019 75,000 kids come through MIM, 75,000.
Wow.
And we're getting back to those numbers, which is really exciting. But we also have what we call signature weekends. So we will celebrate the blues, celebrate, you know, the music of India. And so my colleagues in public programs and education are always producing all these different programs and events to interest kids, families. We have drum circles. We have mini music makers where parents can bring their kids and learn about instruments and play the instruments. And so there's a huge variety of different programs that we offer. And I just think that number 75,000, again, we're not
It's a
quite
big
there,
number.
but isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
That
That's
amount of kids coming through MIM and having this experience with music and instruments, it's really incredible.
And you know, you don't know which kids have been impacted and where it has changed their life. You know, I was sharing with some of your colleagues that, you know, as a kid, we used to do these cultural arts field trips or whatever. And had it not been for that, there would have been no exposure to any of the arts for me. And then it was those early things, right, that got me on a path of wanting to play an instrument myself and wanting to see live music performances and get a membership at the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, things like that.
You know, I'm so glad that you made that point and brought that up, because you're absolutely right. If kids don't get exposed to music and the arts, sometimes they don't even know that it exists. And so it's so important that we somehow find ways to expose kids to the arts. And I was around a lot of sports when I was young, but luckily my mom said, "Hey, you know, let's try something else too." And whether it was karate and I ended up auditioning for a boy choir, and just like you, that changed my life.
Yep.
I mean, it was like, whoa, this is a whole nother world.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think that, I mean, the educational component is really interesting.
What instrument do you play, by the way?
I used to play a flute. I haven't played it for so long. I feel like it would come back to me, but I'm not going to probably try it. But, you know, that was a great experience, because learning to play an instrument that's a journey in itself.
Oh, huge.
And
huge.
So I think you get discipline from that, and you know, you learn to appreciate things that are like that. So that makes it really fun. But you also have a really cool summer concert series that's coming up, and so I want to hear a little bit about that, because summer's coming up here. And so one of the great things about the summer concert series is in Arizona, we all like these things that are inside.
Right, exactly.
So it's a wonderful air-conditioned space and wonderful entertainment. So share with us what's coming up for that.
Well, we have so much music coming in this summer. As you said, I think we put on sale about 57 concerts initially at our member premiere event, and we're so grateful. We have such great support here in the Valley. We sold over 4,600 tickets in 3 hours.
Wow.
So people are excited. But I mean, you know, there's so many different genres of music that we're able to present at MIM. So, you know, for every genre we present, I could go on and on. But I'm really excited about. Let's see. I'm really excited about Macy Gray. Macy Gray's album that the song "I Try" was on. That came out when I was in junior high, and it was like the soundtrack of like my 8th grade you know, year. And so Macy's going to be doing a tour celebrating the 25th anniversary of that album. She's going to be coming by MIM. We have the legendary singer-songwriter who wrote American Pie, Don McLean. Don McLean's coming back for the second time to MIM. We just added a second night. We have a bunch of great rock and country groups from the 70s into the 80s. Atlanta Rhythm Section, Pure Prairie League.
I mean, these are big names for a museum.
And for a
really?
300-seat
300-seat theater, yeah.
And that's what we hear from people.
Yeah.
You know, they love the acoustics. They love MIM. They love the facility because it's so classy and it's the parking is easy. It's so clean and everything is perfect. But they like the intimacy. You don't get an opportunity to see many of these names in a room of this size, and when you have that experience, it's like, I don't want to go anywhere else. You know,
ARS used to be big.
Right. So, and then if you like jazz, we have so many great jazz artists coming in. We've got a variety of great country artists coming in. We've got some wonderful groups from all over the world, what we call, global artists from Africa and from a great percussionist from Cuba, Pedrito Martinez, and we have several groups coming from. We have two different groups coming from Australia. One, the really famous 80s rock band, The Church, and also a group of younger Australian musicians called the Cat Empire.
Oh wow!
Really sort of viral sensation kind of younger group musicians, and they're extraordinary. So truly, we try to present everything in the musical gamut that you can imagine, as long as it's great music. We like to present it at MIM.
So you have a really great Steinway piano there. So I've come a couple times for some of the pianists, and so that is always really special. It's such a great place for that.
We have a great Steinway piano, and we have a 9-foot concert Yamaha. So we actually have two unbelievable concert grand pianos. And so that's what makes it so fun to present pianists. There's two great jazz pianists in New York, Bill Charlap and Rini Rosnes. They're a husband and wife duo. And because we have two pianists, we're bringing them in to do a double piano show. We're actually doing another double piano show with a resident Phoenix musician named Nicole Pesci. She's incredible. And she's going to be doing a 2-piano, 6-hand show with two of her other piano friends.
Wow.
So it's so fun to be able to roll both of those pianos out in that little room and just have them fill that hall.
Gosh, that's exciting. Okay, so that's what's happening this summer. If people, are tickets still available? I mean, so you could call the box office and you can get into some of these, right?
Yes, some of them are sold out, but we still have many shows that have tickets available. Absolutely.
And then what about the fall? Like, what are some of the things you're most excited about this fall?
Well, there's a show that I can't talk about yet because it's not announced, but let me just say that it is a very, very famous movie star who's also a great musician, and that is going to be happening in September. So keep your eyes peeled, and that's all I can say.
Rhymes with Gaga?
Or I'll get in a lot of trouble. And then we'll have, oh my gosh, I think we've got probably 50 shows confirmed this fall. None of them are announced yet. So I get in trouble. Then I start talking about them, and then you're
really in trouble.
Then you're really
in trouble. So we heard a cute little story about a musician from Palm Springs who I know you're really good friends with. Share with us a little bit more about that. So Iconic Life, we've got a magazine in Palm Springs now. So we're particularly interested to learn a little bit more because this might be a good story.
Are you
for
talking
us.
about Lucy Arnaz, or are you talking about Marilyn May?
Oh, Marilyn May.
Oh, Marilyn May.
Well, Lucy Arnaz, would be. Yeah.
Lucy was just at MIM. I wouldn't call her a great friend. Marilyn is, but I adore Lucy, and what a fantastic show the shows she did 2 nights. Marilyn May, oh my gosh, she's one of my favorite living singers. She was on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show 76 times, more than any other singer. She was one of Johnny's, if not his favorite singer. She's now 97. And she's going to be at MIM. She's going to be in Palm Springs at Michael Holmes' lovely Purple Room.
Okay.
For I believe 3 shows, maybe 4 shows, and then she's coming to MIM to play one night, which is Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the 14th, and she still is singing so well. It's unbelievable. I mean, she's almost 100 years old. She had a radio show in like 1937. I mean. when she was 9 or something.
We need her on the podcast next.
You do.
Yeah.
We can make it happen. She
Yeah.
would love that. Yeah, she's so inspiring. And her motto is just keep moving.
Yeah.
Just keep moving, because once you stop, then you start to age. But if you keep moving, you know,
Yeah.
you've got as much life in you as you believe that you've got in you.
Yeah.
So
That's so awesome.
yeah, it's
Well, great.
amazing.
Well, we look forward to seeing her too. Well, wonderful. Well, so I want to wrap up by just, where do you get your inspiration? So, you've got the ability to kind of like grab from around the world to program at the museum. Like, what is your mission? What is your inspiration? How do you decide what fits and what doesn't fit?
Man, what a great question. I'm like you. You don't claim to still be a musician, or you don't claim to still play your flute, but I'm a musician. I'm a singer and pianist, and I do a lot of touring and performing myself. And I think what the difference at a great music venue is the way that artists are treated. And MIM is a place where artists are valued. They're treated with the best hospitality. We really want them to feel like it's their home when they come to the venue. So I think booking great artists and making sure that they have a great experience from the moment that they touch down and we pick them up at the airport to the moment that they get back to the hotel after their show, that they have a really positive experience. Because again, that creates the best possible show.
Right.
And it sounds so easy and so cliche and so simple to say that, but many of these artists, even the very esteemed ones, are working a lot of clubs, a lot of places where people just don't really. Maybe they're not treated with that respect, and it's just another gig. So I would say. Now, to answer your other question, which is like, how do you? A lot of people ask, how do you find all these people? Like, you're booking all these shows, and it's a combination of doing a lot of research and being out in social media, trying to keep your finger on the pulse of all the great music happening, and also just connecting with a lot of great agents who has said, hey, our artists always have a great experience at MIM. Why don't you should think about this artist or that artist, and keeping those relationships and communication channels open.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I feel like I want to do a couple rapid fire questions with you. Like, let's see if we can handle this. I haven't done this for a while. So what is your favorite instrument?
Oh boy. Of course, that's like the hardest question that you can ask me, and it's a rapid fire question, which means it's supposed to be a rapid fire answer. I'd have to say the baritone sax, which I don't play. I don't actually. Piano is basically my only instrument, but I love the tone. I love the low resonant sound of that instrument. It's my favorite instrument.
Who plays it best?
I think the greatest baritone sax player ever was a guy named Pepper Adams.
Oh, wow. Okay. We're going to have to look him up.
Yeah.
Awesome. How about, do you have a favorite piece of music? Like something that's just like, when I hear that, I love that so much.
Great question. Another great question.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Asking a guy who's heard everything.
Well, oh, man. I can't answer that. There's too many answers. I know that's a terrible answer.
It was a hard question.
That's a super hard question. I mean, it's just a flurry in my brain of so many different songs.
What are some of the ones that went through?
Well, I would have to say, I love classical music. So I love Beethoven so much, and so many different, pieces of Beethoven, of the piano concertos. I'm a big jazz guy, so of several Shirley Horn songs. Shirley Horn's one of my favorite artists. I really, really love great singer-songwriters. I'm a sucker for great Nashville writers. So a lot of those names and songs come to mind. That's not a good answer, but it's
okay. So here comes one more hard question. A performance that you have kind of overseen at MIM that you'll never forget.
Oh boy. That's another really, really hard question. I know. And these are simple questions that are
I know. Well, but look who I'm asking.
Oh, boy. So, some of the shows that are the best, first of all, I get emails. We send an email the day after a show to every person that buys a ticket. What did you think of the show? Right? Mm-hmm. So we're prompting the most extreme opinions on both sides.
Right, yeah.
And one of the great things about that is that for the same show, I can get 5 emails that say, that was the best show I've ever seen, and a handful of emails that say, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
And we come to the theater a lot, and we see a lot of shows, and that one was just not good. And the beauty of that, right? Because music is one of those things that we all hear different things, and we all have completely different emotional reactions to the same exact song. But there's a singer-songwriter named T-Bone Burnett, and he came for 3 nights back in November. And I just thought it was magical. I just thought they were all his own songs, and his band was these extraordinary Nashville session musicians. And he is, in the sort of twilight of his career. The voice is not like, Beyonce, right? But the way that he can tell a story, and with such honesty, it was really breathtaking.
This is awesome. Well, good. Well, just hearing you describe some of these things makes me want to get over to MIM.
Well, come on.
Get some tickets and go see some shows.
If you're free Wednesday, you've got to see Marilyn Maye.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we want to talk.
And I know how busy you are, but let me know.
Yeah, awesome.
Come and see us.
We want to talk with her. Well, so for anybody who hasn't been in the museum, what would you tell them?
Well, you got to come.
Yeah.
Is that a stupid answer?
No, that's the right answer. Well, Andrew, thanks for being on the pod.
This was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Well, that's the pod. Thanks for joining me this week. Please make sure to subscribe to the podcast and hit the bell so that you never miss an episode. And for more about Iconic Life, please go to iconiclife.com. Until next time, I'm Renee D. We'll see you soon.